A genius who's shattered records over the past 2 seasons. Pep Guardiola's the central figure in the Premier League picture. But what is the next stage in his grand design for Manchester City?
I think with a manager like Pep Guardiola, that is the big question for him. How can he improve this team? When he talks to the players, he's always talking about how you can do things better. And that's what the best managers do. They don't want to just win, they want to win better. So it's not just about winning the league, it's about winning the league by a record points total. And that's the message he'll be getting through to the dressing room.
Try to do even better, always try to do better, knowing that the standards are high. But as I said, this team kind of use the supporters and everyone to try and go for all the competitions, and knowing that it's difficult season after season, but we'll try to do it again.
The big issue for Guardiola is making sure those players aren't complacent. I think the fact they're very young and very hungry helps an awful lot. These players want to win more and more. They want to win more trophies, more medals, more achievements, more personal accolades as well. I think they are the best equipped club to deal with the fixture schedule, because you look at the depth of that squad. They've got interchangeable players. Even Fernandinho, which was the issue last season, well, they've gone out and bought Rodri, so straight away you've got a replacement for him. If you chose a second team of Manchester City, it would be a top 6 team.
2 years ago, 90% of the players had never won a Premier League. So we need titles in our careers, and we're still hungry. We're not happy yet. We need to go for more, and that's what we'll try to do again.
A captain's captain, if ever there was one. Where he has led, they have followed.
I've got to say, I think Vincent Kompany had a remarkable season last season. I saw him coming back into the team and actually being the leader as much as the great defender that he is. And at times in pressure situations, when things are really intense, when it's all about holding your nerve, you need those sorts of players. I do think it's a real opportunity for some of those players to become leaders in the Manchester City team. You look at Vincent Kompany, the size and the presence, the ability, the kind of personality he had. That's a huge hole to replace in that team.
On the pitch, when he was fit, always was ready, and he was an important player for my decisions. We cannot say now it's your turn or your turn or your turn. It comes, appears, naturally. So it's going to come naturally. You're going to see they have to choose the captains, and when we will be all together, and we will see.
I think Manchester City will win the Premier League again this season. I think from their point of view, they do see domestic domination as quite an important issue. If you can dominate and retain it at the title once again, then you really are cementing your place in history. You're creating a legacy. You're creating a moment where actually people will look at you as one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest team ever in British football, in the Premier League history. And certainly, I think he's well aware of all that. He'll be very well aware of what Alex Ferguson has done, what Arsene Wenger did, what Jose Mourinho did, and he'll want to do all these things and do them better.
In the red half of Manchester, there's a manager with a point to prove. At first, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's appointment appeared to be a masterstroke. His nostalgic return to Old Trafford began with 10 wins from his first 11 games. His reward was a permanent contract, but the dream start was soon giving Solskjaer sleepless nights as United finished the season with 2 wins from 12. A summer of speculation and uncertainty has surrounded the club's big earners. It's left Solskjaer at the wheel, but without the assurance he'll be travelling with the same passengers. On board, though, is Harry Maguire. United have spent around £80 million on the Leicester City centre-half, a world record fee for a defender.
When the going got tough, I thought we just got the margins against us, and that's very easily done. You're a human being, but you've got to be resilient, you've got to be trusting yourself and your teammate no matter what the circumstances and what everyone around says. So we've just battened down the hatches, we're working together, we know we have to stick together as a team, find this feeling of we are Man United.
Last season wasn't the best one. We didn't finish the way we wanted to, but you have to have to learn from it and move on. And we are looking forward to a new season to start, and we want to perform better than we did. So, of course, that's our aim, and we're gonna work hard and try to win as many games as possible.
Manchester United remain one of football's global clubs, but they aren't the only English superpower on the scene. They risk the attention being turned elsewhere if the downward trend continues, so Solskjaer has boldly put his faith in youth. The signings of Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James could reignite an expensively assembled but underperforming squad.
Dan James gives a lot of energy to Manchester United in attack and defence, a great transitional player. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is known as this defensive fullback, a player that loves a tackle, that's fantastic on the recovery. What we've seen so far when they've played on the same wing is Aaron Wan-Bissaka making the inside move and Dan James holding the width in the final third, which could be a really interesting option in opening up the door.
When you sign for Man United, it's the biggest moment of your life. For me, it was, I think, for all these players as well. And that means you'll get ups and downs, you'll get the pressure, you'll get the limelight, headlines will be on you for the good and bad reasons, and you've got to be a resilient person.
So Manchester United are set to play a 4-2-3-1 this season in the Premier League. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer slightly tweaking his tactics. The interesting side of this new system is that he can play number 10, but also Paul Pogba, maybe in a deeper position, as more of an attacking number 8. The thing that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoke about time and time again in pre-season is the wingers and the relationship with their fullbacks. Manchester United, when they get into the final third, have looked a lot wider than they did last season, with the left winger and the right winger hugging the touchline, opening up the pitch in the final third, allowing number 10 to be joined by that man Paul Pogba in an attacking sense. I also expect which side they're attacking down, the fullback to take an inverted position, creating a back three, 2 sort of in midfield and then 4 behind a main striker. The width and the midfield joining the attack could leave those opportunities on the counter-attack. Lastly, we've got to talk about Victor Lindelof, a player that's excelled bringing the ball out of defence. The defenders need to be comfortable at joining that sort of area, drawing players out and allowing these front 5 players that 1v1 situation. I think that's going to be key for Manchester United. But it's exciting times for United, a tactical evolution from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Solskjaer's gentle evolution may need to be swift to avoid another red revolution, but United know that legends sometimes need longevity to succeed.
Fit and ready. With no European football to distract them, Burnley will be hoping for a faster start than last year, when they didn't really get going until after Christmas.
We enjoy every game in the Premier League, but at Turf it's got that good feeling with the fans and the feeling in the stadium. So we want them to play their part. They normally do. We want the players to turn up. But we definitely want to get off to a good start, like everyone does.
The club have strengthened up front with the return of former player Jay Rodriguez, signed for £10 million from West Brom. While at the back, Dutchman Eric Peters has arrived from Stoke.
The most heroic of failures. The season may have brought 97 points and just 1 league defeat, but it doesn't bring the league title. Anfield's agonising wait for the title will go into a 30th year.
The 3rd best season in Premier League history, and yet it came to nothing. It's a thread that now runs through 3 decades for a prize that remains as elusive as ever. Yet Jurgen Klopp's men are tantalisingly close to ending their long wait for England's top honour.
To do 97 points, which would have won the league 116 times in the previous 120 years, and not win the league.
People talk about us like the logical, constant contender now for Man City, but neither nor is for sure. But that City plays again a season like last year, or let we do it. It doesn't work without the hardest work, the biggest focus, the highest concentration level. We know that, and that's what we are working on.
May wasn't just a month of near misses. Warranted success swiftly followed as Liverpool defeated Tottenham to become the champions of Europe for the 6th time. It also marked the first piece of silverware of Klopp's tenure at Anfield, having fallen short in 3 previous cup finals.
When Liverpool won the Champions League last season, the pressure was certainly on. If they hadn't, then everybody would have talked about this amazing football that they had played for so long now, but you never won anything. So I think to finally, get a piece of silverware after quite a few years, it was a huge monkey off Jurgen Klopp's back, I guess.
For him as well, it was a huge moment to see the reaction in the city when he came back. We're talking about 750,000 people lined the streets of Liverpool when they came back. He's now an Anfield legend. He will be talked about in the same terms as Benitez, Fagan and Paisley in terms of what he has done on the European stage. But of course now that probably adds to the motivation to certainly join Paisley and Fagan and Shankly and Dalglish in terms of winning the league title and being the man to bring it back to Anfield after 30 years.
In his quest to join such esteemed company, Klopp is trusting his current comrades. Youngsters Harvey Elliott and Sepp van den Berg have arrived, but the Reds will be hoping the returns of the progressive Ryan Brewster, Adam Lallana and most notably Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will offer that crucial extra ingredient.
I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain gives Liverpool something a bit different, but he'll have to come back right at the top level. This is the European champions that he's trying to get back into the team of. He needs to find his level again, and he needs to find probably a level that he's never found before, because if he's at the level that he was before, I'm not sure he gets into the starting 11 as things stand.
We've got a great squad, you know, and we want to just compete again, give everything, take each game as it comes, like we always do, and keep performing to the highest level every time we play. We've got to keep wanting more, keep writing our own history, really. This team can achieve so much, but it's down to us to give everything, put in the hard work.
A major trophy in the cabinet, but a Premier League title will define whether this is a truly golden generation. It's a city ready for their stars to align.
It's 30 years since Liverpool won the Premier League. It's absolutely ridiculous to people of our generation. I mean, for a club of Liverpool's stature, resources, to have not won it for 30 years when so many others have, I think eats away at you. And that's why I think it's the priority.
Well, Liverpool can win the Premier League, no question about that. They're not weakened their side in any way. If anything, they're a little bit more confident after last season. You know, the smart money, I guess, is to say Manchester City will retain the crown, but if there's anyone that's going to nick it off them, it'll be Liverpool.
While their near neighbours bask in European glory, across Stanley Park, it's a different story. Marco Silva's first season was a tale of inconsistency, Everton finishing 12 points off the top 6. The ambition, however, is far greater. Silva's challenge now is to deliver.
I think there's still a lot of doubts or scepticism from the fans towards Marco Silva, as in, you know, is he really the man to take us on and repair the damage of the last few years? I think they won 5 of the last 8 games, kept 6 clean sheets in those 8 games.
The expectations are really high. Of course, the fans, if I ask 90% of them what they want a trophy in the end of the season. I know that, all of us, you know that. It's up to us to do our best, and in both cups is to fight 100% to achieve something important. And something important for us as a football club is to get the final and try to win a trophy.
Silverware the target, and a summer of less change than last might help. Andre Gomes has joined from Barcelona, and a fee has been agreed for Juventus striker Moise Kean, while Fabian Delph and Jonas Lössl have joined from Manchester City and Huddersfield respectively. Two months ago, promise and possibility, then defeat and disappointment. Losing the Champions League final was tough to take, and so Tottenham's trophy quest continues. To get to Madrid was a huge step, an achievement for Mauricio Pochettino's side, but it didn't fulfill their dreams.
I still feel the pain. The dream was to win the Champions League final, not playing in the Champions League final. But I'm so proud of this team, and yeah, we will be stronger this season.
When you get to them big games and you don't quite perform the way you know you can, that's always the bit that hurts you the most. We know it was there for the taking, and that's something we have to deal with. That's something we've had to think about over the summer, and it's a hard one to get over.
Hard to get over, but manager Pochettino is not one to shy away from a challenge.
Maybe should be different result after the final. Maybe it's a moment to step out of the club and maybe to give the club. But I am not a person that avoids to face the problems or to avoid to face a difficult situation. I love massive, a big challenge and a difficult challenge. And of course, to rebuild now that mentality, that's exciting and it motivates me a lot.
Rebuilding began in Singapore, an ultra-modern setting for the first glance at a refreshed Spurs squad. Last summer, Tottenham were the only Premier League club not to add to their ranks. This year, they broke their transfer record to bring in Tanguy Ndombele, who should slot straight into Pochettino's midfield plans. They've also held on to big-name stars. Good signs for the coming campaign, with 22-year-old Ndombele contributing to the positive vibes.
Yeah, we had a few training sessions and it was really tough. And when I saw him, he was really tired, and I was laughing because I remember when I first came, it's been so tough, and he's a really nice guy. I'm looking forward to play with him.
Harry Winks is a playmaker, Sissoko brings the energy, Dyer's the kind of hard man in there as well, Wanyama similar. Ndombele is like a bundle of all of them put into one, and Tottenham went in there and actually got the deal done, which is something they failed to do in previous windows, and I think that says maybe a lot about them being Champions League finalists now, the new stadium. It takes them to a new level, but they've got to build on that.
The team will look to improve on last season, and wherever that takes them, we'll see. At the beginning of the season, you want to try and win the league. It would be difficult for the winners to eclipse the total of points last season, so you just got to put yourself in there and give yourself a chance. But we'll see. As I say, the quality is definitely there, but there's many other teams with quality, so it's always tough.
We need to try and be more consistent. That's the key when you look at City and Liverpool. That's what they were last year. They were consistent over 38 games, and it's down to us to try and match that, if not better that.
A marriage made in heaven. Borrowed from Derby, a former Blue, something old, but now for something new. Chelsea's all-time leading goal scorer Frank Lampard is back at the Bridge as the boss.
It is an incredible opportunity for me, a club that I obviously love, and a challenge, big challenge. So yeah, it needs to sink in. I think the hard work began straight away. Players have worked hard. I've worked hard with them to try and, build the relationships, work on the training pitch, and here we are. So yeah, I'm excited.
The thing about Frank is he is a winner. Now, as a footballer, he was that. As a midfielder, as a Chelsea player, as an England player, that is how he felt. It's not changed just because he's a manager. He's come to Chelsea, and even though if it doesn't work right away, people want to give him time, he won't actually want to give himself time. He'll want to win as soon as possible. He'll cope with it, maybe even for a season. But by the second season, he'll be more disappointed than anyone at this club if he's not got a trophy.
Chelsea's pre-season preparations included 2 games in Japan, and with it, a win over Barcelona. And the message from the manager has been consistent. First-team places are up for grabs. An ongoing transfer ban has forced the club to readjust their own vision, with a number of youth players ready to be catapulted onto the scene. A new 5-year deal for Mason Mount has put him at the forefront of that refresh. And it's a player that Lampard knows well after Mount's pivotal role in his Derby County team last season. Lampard's leap of faith in youth could provide the platform for them to succeed, but only if they earn it.
I think what you do get with young players that have come through the system is a feeling for the club, which I think is important. And I think it was something we had in areas that I played in. Not loads of players came through, but there was a feeling of Chelsea, which probably John Terry was a big part of as captain to sort of filter that through.
So that leaves Christian Pulisic with a big role to play after his arrival from Borussia Dortmund. The US internationals enjoyed a promising pre-season, scoring twice and displaying the raw talent needed to thrive in the Premier League.
I'm looking forward to play with him because I think he smells the game, and it's going to be easy to play with this kind of player. He's still young and he will improve hopefully with us, but he's for sure a big plus to the team, and I really want to play with him and to see if he can assist us.
We have some great youth players, and I'm very enthusiastic about them. This is a great chance and a great opportunity for them to show exactly what they can do. I think with what we have at the moment, even with Eden Hazard leaving, the integration of the youth players in the team can only help us. I think it's looking very bright for the future.
The smiles at Stamford Bridge are wide, but the hard work has only just begun. Champions League football is returning to Chelsea this season, and one of Lampard's primary tasks will be to make that a permanent feature of future campaigns, as well as disrupting a two-way tussle at the top of the table.
I know how tough it is, and I know that the Premier League is as tough as it's ever been, with the standards that Manchester City and Liverpool both set last year, and everyone else was slightly behind that. But I would certainly not be manager of Chelsea and sit here and say we can't compete at that top end. I think we can, and I want to, and that's how we have to take on every day and every game as it comes. I want to pick the best team that can go out and win Chelsea matches at Stamford Bridge or wherever we are, so that's a balance for me to find.
The surroundings are familiar, but the road needs repaving. Frank Lampard is ready to lift Chelsea back to where he feels they belong.
A huge boost for Arsenal to launch the new campaign. Ivory Coast winger Nicolas Pepe signed for a club record £72 million. The fans needed that after the double disappointment at the end of last season. The Gunners fell short of the top four and were heavily beaten by Chelsea in the Europa League final.
It's really tricky because missing out on the top four by just 1 point suggests that you're quite close to them. But equally, Arsenal will be kicking themselves, and may be kicking themselves for many years, because that position should have been theirs. The fact that they did miss out shows that they've got serious flaws in their squad, in their setup, and they are behind some of the others. Shkodran Mustafi is a player who Arsenal have looked to sell in pretty much every transfer window since they signed him. If we look in other positions across the defence, Hector Bellerin's still recovering from a serious knee ligament injury, and this is why Laurent Koscielny was such an important part of their. They are looking to bring a centre half in and bolster an area of the pitch that needs to be bolstered more than anywhere else for Arsenal. You've got a player who has really impressed in Joe Willock in central midfield. Could he be one of the solutions to Arsenal's central midfield problem that has stemmed from Aaron Ramsey departing? You've got Reiss Nelson returning from loan at Hoffenheim. I think the fans especially want to see him given a good opportunity, a fair opportunity, and I think he will be. Realistically, I don't think Arsenal should be pinning their hopes anywhere above a top four finish. And I think their expectations are realistic. They always want to challenge in the cup competitions. They will want to win the Europa League, but they need to get back into the mix domestically, and that means a top four finish.
Manuel Pellegrini's first season in charge at West Ham ended a lot brighter than it began. The Hammers earned a top-half finish for the first time in 3 years, but the departure of 3 strikers over the summer, including Marko Arnautovic, will give Pellegrini's team a fresh look. The club's forward-thinking approach has included the arrival of £45 million record signing Sebastian Aller from Eintracht Frankfurt and a further £24 million on Villarreal's Pablo Fornals.
We have a lot of responsibility behind us. It's a really big team, West Ham here in London. We play every game with 60,000 fans behind us and doing a good season, trying to find team for a spot to Europe. Well, I think that the fans will be very happy, and we are going to have more fans who wanted to be member of this club.
Heading in the right direction. 12th place was perhaps even higher than most Crystal Palace fans had expected last season. Roy Hodgson's Eagles put in some great displays, but so far it's been the summer of some disruption, while star striker Wilfried Zaha attracted the attention of Everton.
An FA Cup final appearance and an 11th place finish made last season one of the most memorable in Watford's history. And the owners, for the first time in their reign, gave an existing manager a new contract, with Javi Gracia's achievements too good to ignore.
We know we enjoyed last season with our supporters every single game, and for the next season we want to enjoy again. In this moment I prefer to have high ambitions, but at the same time to be moderate in our expectations. But I think it will be a good season for us.
The defence carries a new look with the arrival of the experienced Craig Dawson from West Bromwich Albion. He's got 150 Premier League appearances to his name, while Gracia will be hoping to get another tune out of Gerard Deulofeu.
After 28 straight seasons in England's top flight, Aston Villa dropped out of the Premier League on the 16th of April 2016. A spell in the Championship awaited. But then along came Dean Smith. The lifelong Villa supporter took charge in October 2018 and guided them back to the promised land via the playoffs.
3 years is a long time for a club the size and stature of Aston Villa, so really pleased to get the club back, but you know, that's also where the hard work starts again. I've got a lot of respect for the league, for the clubs in the league, but we won't fear them. We'll go in pretty fearless, but with total respect, because you know, I've seen the quality that is on show in that league.
Unsurprisingly, it's been a busy summer. Aston Villa have made 12 permanent signings, most recently goalkeeper Tom Heaton from Burnley. A total of well over £100 million, but not all new faces.
I wanted to keep the core of the team together. We've managed to turn 3 of them loans into permanents now in Courtney House, Tyrone Mings and Anwar El Ghazi. So, you know, with the likes of Jack Grealish, Sean McGinn, James Chester, people like that, we've got the majority of the squad still together from last season. And what we needed to add then was quality to that group. And, you know, we brought Wesley Moraes, who's our record signing as a centre forward, now a Brazilian lad who I really scouted and liked.
Dean Smith's side defend in a 4-5-1. They look to play wide and get crosses into the penalty area for usually a big striker. New signing Wesley could be that guy. There's a bit of a hybrid between a player that can play as a target man but has a very, very good touch. Against some sides, I can't see Villa doing too much. Villa may concede a lot of goals, but could be good going forward, attacking down the flanks. I think Tottenham under Harry Redknapp, that's maybe the style that we'll see from Aston Villa next season.
Brendan Rodgers' arrival in February has left many predicting a Leicester City resurgence. To repeat their heroics of just over 3 years ago is highly unlikely, but Claude Puel's dismissal triggered a fine end to the Foxes last season, as they collected 17 points from 10 games under Rodgers. That tally was bettered only by 4 other clubs in the Premier League and helped the former champions finish 9th, but the ambition to challenge for a European place again is clear.
We want to be competitive. I think ourselves, along with a number of other teams, will feel that they can compete. So I'm really excited about that challenge. It's going to be difficult, of course, the teams that are already in there and have been established in there. But ourselves, along with a few other teams, will feel that we can challenge that.
Leicester's aspirations to be part of Europe's elite have been highlighted by the permanent signing of Yuri Tielemans from Monaco.
I just wanted to come back and to improve my game in here.
Along with Tielemans, Rodgers has secured the services of Iosi Perez for £30 million. The Spaniard scored 33 Premier League goals during his period at Newcastle and could line up alongside the ever-potent Jamie Vardy when Leicester host Wolves on the opening weekend.
Exciting, at times exhilarating, Wolverhampton Wanderers attacked with gusto on their return to the Premier League. Under impressive head coach Nuno Espirito Santo, the Old Gold stormed into Europe.
There will be stronger squads, there will be better players, we have to prepare ourselves better, it will be tougher because we want to improve. And when we want to improve, you have to dedicate more time of you. So it will be tougher on a daily basis, not the competition himself, on a daily basis. We have to demand more from ourselves.
On the transfer front, Raul Jimenez, Leander Dendoncker and Patrick Cutrone have signed permanently, while a loan deal has been agreed for Real Madrid centre-half Jesus Vallejo. It's like an experiment or a game. For 3 years at Newcastle United, it was a case of construction, creating a structure that seemed solid. Rafa Benitez, the architect, 2 back-to-back mid-table finishes after promotion from the Championship. Then, in the last 2 months, key pieces have been removed, including 2 main goal scorers.
Rafa Benitez has left Newcastle United.
Benitez's replacement, Steve Bruce, has to restart the process.
I'm under no illusion that's going to be difficult, of course, and I've got big shoes to fill in Rafa, certainly about that, but the opportunity was there for me and I've always enjoyed a challenge. I hope over the coming months I can still try to keep the club going forward and following what he's what he's done over the last couple of years in particular, to be mid-table in the Premier League has been great, and it's up to me to try and carry on in that fashion.
I think Steve Bruce will be pragmatic. He'll look at the squad that he's got. I don't think he's got a set style of play, unlike Rafa, who was very disciplined, wanted his teams to play in a very certain style. I think Bruce, he'll change things depending on what he's got, and it'll just depend on whether the players that they've brought in can hit the ground running at the Premier League.
Obviously, it was a very, very disappointing situation when Rafa left the club. Nobody wanted to see that happen within the fan base. We're all very, very fond of him and what he wanted to achieve here at Newcastle. When you look at Steve Bruce's record, it doesn't fill you with much optimism. He hasn't had the greatest of times. He's never really taken a job as big as the Newcastle job. Probably not had as much pressure as he's going to have on his shoulder. So, fair play for him to step up and do that at this stage of his career.
When you're signing Joe Linton, who's been given the number 9 shirt, it's pretty iconic around this pot. Spend £40 million on a player, you expect him to be an exciting player. He looks like a type of a striker who's versatile. He's strong, he's powerful, he can dribble well with the ball, and at the end of the day, he's got lightning speed alongside Almiron. That's going to scare defences. If they're going to lose the ball at halfway line or further on, they're going to be worried about how fast we can get up that field. And fingers crossed, he can score the goals at the end of the day. He's got big boots to fill in Rondon's from last season, but I think he'll do it. I'm excited to see what he can do for the club.
It was a ball boy, it was a player, and there's a manager, and that is unique.
We've all got to raise our game. We understand that technically players have got to improve, improve in terms of recruitment, bringing players in. I think the biggest thing is from the mentality point of view, because we've been used to winning games over the last 3 years, and now they have to recognise that the quality of the opposition is not what they've been up against for a long time, and we're going to be up against it.
Phil Jagielka's back, he knows the Premier League, and he'll do wonders. He come through the academy, and to have him back is just over the moon.
You say I've played in the Premier League for a lot of seasons now. The manager knows he's most of it, well, pretty much all of his squad hasn't done that. So he was looking to add some experience. He was looking to bring someone in who knew how it is to play for Sheffield in this environment.
The odds on already I've looked at that we're going to get relegated next year, but if we don't, then to me that's a win. Nobody knows how we play, nobody knows our structure we're going to play. They haven't got a clue how Chris Wilder works, so we're the unknown.
So Chris Wilder's lined his Sheffield United team up last season pretty much in a 3-5-2 with an attacking midfielder playing over 2 defensive midfielders. The really interesting side with Wilder though is his use of his outside centre-backs. What you'd usually expect from back three is them to hold their position when their team has the ball, allowing them to create that base. In fact, what we've seen a few times from Sheffield United last season was the outside centre-backs actually overlapping the wing-backs and supporting them in the final third. In terms of their strength, for me, it's John Fleck and Oliver Norwood in defensive midfield. Oliver Norwood created the second most chances in the Championship last season. So what you'd expect from a Chris Wilder team is a lot of organisation when they've got the ball, positional, rotation as well, and also a big threat from set pieces.
Calmer conditions expected, or at least hoped for, on the south coast. Southampton had seen 4 managers come and go over the course of 2.5 years. But with Ralph Hasenhüttl, it looks like time to stick rather than twist. It's a thumbs up for the Austrian's first pre-season at the club. Che Adams is perhaps the most eye-catching arrival. The 23-year-old struck 22 goals in the Championship last season. He joins Malian Moussa Djenepo in a rejuvenated forward line. And not before time. Southampton might just march up the table and rediscover the habit of regular top 10 finishes that they once enjoyed.
For 2 seasons running, Bournemouth have been the South Coast's top team. Despite having the smallest stadium in the Premier League, the Cherries continue to thrive in the most unforgiving of climates. The potential of their manager, Eddie Howe, is growing as quickly as the club's.
The target is to improve, and improvement is something that I'm pushing so hard throughout the club here. I think we have to improve and get better. If we stand still for a second, we're dead in this league. We know them, so we're looking forward to the challenge.
Their 5th season in the top flight will include several youthful additions, with midfielder Philip Billing amongst the arrivals. But crucially, they've ensured the possible cherry-picking of some of their existing stars hasn't been possible for the Premier League's more established names.
Brighton's brush with relegation last campaign spelt the end for Chris Hughton after 4.5 years in charge. His replacement is Graham Potter. The 44-year-old has an interesting CV: technical director of Ghana's women's team, management in Sweden and a season at Swansea. But this is his first Premier League job.
We want to try and build on what's already been here. The club's had 2 years in the Premier League. We want to try and improve, of course, and it's the job of the coach is to try to improve the team. We want to do that. We've always had an idea to try to play attacking, entertaining football, but at the same time understand that we're in a results business. You have to be pragmatic to that as well.
The Seagulls need pragmatism and inspiration, certainly improved results, to turn last season's close call into a safe flight this time around.
Norwich City are back in the Premier League and ready to enjoy their latest appearance amongst England's elite. Their return after a 3-year absence was unexpected, but the Canaries' swashbuckling style of football won many admirers on their way to the Championship title. Manager Daniel Farke was central to that success and became the latest German coach to make a sizable impact on foreign shores.
We will stick to our principles and our philosophy. It's not like from now on we will try to park the bus. We will try to play offensive. We're not naive. We know it will be difficult when you play at the Etihad or at the Anfield Road, that you can't dominate the games like we did in the Championship. So of course we have to be good in all topics, also in defending, also in counter-attacks. But we will stick to our principles and try to bring our football on the pitch.
Farke's placing trust in the players that triumphed last year, but there is intrigue around how their attacking brand of football will be moulded to fit the top flight. A key bit of business could be Swiss international striker Josip Drmić, but ultimately, if the Canaries are to stave off relegation, the determining factor will be how defensively astute they are.
I think they've got a great chance of survival. The squad is looking good. I say the recruitment in the summer has been slick, it's been quick. Some exciting players. Patrick Roberts is on loan from Manchester City. I've watched him through his youth career. Emi Buendia is another one who, in the Premier League, he can be a superstar. And obviously, if they've got the goals of Pukki again, if Timo can find those shooting boots again, I think they're there to surprise a lot of the other teams in the Premier League. So I think there's a real togetherness, a good feel about the place. I know that obviously it's up to the players now to make their own history.
Daniel Farke sets his Norwich team up in a 4-2-3-1. They're a little bit like Jurgen Klopp's Borussia Dortmund back in the day. In terms of how you class them, they're the better version of Huddersfield Town, who got promoted with David Wagner. They press from the front, there's a lot of fluidity in attack. But I think their style fits into this model that if we lose a game, we're just going to go out next week and we're going to play it with more intensity. And that pressing that we've seen in the Premier League from Liverpool that works so well for them, it's going to be simple for Norwich. They'll be aggressive at home, potentially a little bit more counter-attacking away from home, but that press will always be there, a key theme in Daniel Farke's Norwich.